All right, welcome into Market Day Report. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here this morning. I'm going to be with you in the morning, and hopefully I can get you to stay all day, right, until my show, 1 o'clock Central, 2 Eastern. Little shameless plug right out of the box. So how about that? Well, let's see how we've done overnight. That's going to be an interesting one. Let's take a look at these markets. So let's start with corn, and then we'll go into some export sales after we get through some of these commodities. Let's go with May corn overnight, up 4 3/4. We've got July up 5.5. July is over $8, $8.03 of a penny. Let's go out to new crop D's. That's 3 cents higher as well, 7.41 3/4. So not bad overnight action. How about soybeans? Let's take a look at that overnight. Let's go to July, up 9.5 cents, 17.29 even. We've got a 10-cent gain in SEP, and then look at 7.5 cents higher in the Novi new crop, 15.39 1/4, making a move towards 15.50. Let's take a quick look at wheat. Wheat was, earlier it was down, but look, it's done a little bit of a turnaround. July is up 3 3/4 cents to 10.80 1/4. And then we've got, say, even D's up 1 cent out to 10.73 3/4. Hard red wheat, Kansas City. What's that look like? Well, that's a little higher as well. July's up 8 cents, 11.51 1/2. And that is about 4 cents off the highs. Let's see what spring wheat's doing so we can get an idea. That's up 10 cents. That's another dime up there. 11.64 1/2 is last in July. And that's about 2 cents off the highs there. So pushing the upper limits. Now, cotton was having a rough morning last I checked, and it still is. We've got the July contract down 169 points to 136.20. Let's take a look at some export sales real quick before we get to our guest analyst. He's going to want to talk about them. We had a little bit of action. Corn, 1.35 million to China, and 281,000 to Mexico, as well as soybeans, 144,000 to Mexico. So we got to keep that in mind as we talk about these things. Let's bring in our next guest analyst, Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, good morning. Thanks for being on.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Yeah, it's a good morning to be on. We had some export business. This is a lot of being taken off of our marketplace. We had huge sales this morning, 50 million bushels of corn sold to China. About half of that went to the old crop, the other half to the new crop year. Then we had some sales of corn to Mexico, a small soybean sale to Mexico. China, has been rumored to be buying U.S. soybeans, but they have not reported anything at this point yet. So it's, that's a little concerning thing for the market that we've kind of priced in export business from China, but no confirmation. And what could happen this morning, what usually does anyway, when we have these big export sale announcements, is a country like this, China, they've hedged their crop already, meaning they bought futures a long time ago. Now that they've made the cash commitment or cash purchase, they'll sell those futures in the open market. So we may actually have a little weakness off of the early morning hours here. But overall, this market is hard to keep down with the weather that we've had. It's just not ideal. If we get an open window, farmers can plant really quickly and get the crop in the ground, but what we can't control is emergence, and that is something the market's concerned about, or very highly sensitive there to, is how quick this crop will emerge, or how quick, how long it's going to stay embedded in the ground. It can start to grow. We just don't have ideal conditions that we've seen in years past to get this crop off to a start. And then also news overnight that Indonesia has banned their exports of bean oil or palm oil out of their country. They're the largest exporter in the world. That sent bean oil futures here in the U.S. just skyrocketing, and that really helped to pull corn and soybeans higher overnight.
Yes, it absolutely did. You're exactly right, and that came out really early. I appreciate you bringing that up because that was a big one too, and I think that's going to be a big one going forward. And you brought up a lot of different things there that are all very, very prescient, and absolutely, I totally agree. I think that what the trade is doing now is they're a little bit nervous we're so high, but they still have to respect the upside, and that's really hard to do. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it really is, and it makes it kind of a quandary for farmers here, is they want to respect the upside and know that there could be, several dollars yet if adverse weather conditions affect the crop this summer. But yet, this is some awesome pricing opportunities that they have presented in front of them, and nobody wants to miss out on this or miss the boat on sales.
Right. It's tough sledding, as I would say, but that's still extremely interesting. We're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to go away real quick. Don't move. We're going to go away. We'll pay some bills, and we're going to come back and talk more with Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions after this. All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shelby, otherwise known as the Cow Guy, and it's Friday, and I've got that Friday feeling. Got the coffee. We're good to go, right? So let's take a look at what's happening overnight. Well, we don't have overnights. What's happened yesterday in live cattle and where they might want to be opening up here today. We'll talk with our guest analyst in a second. But live cattle yesterday put in an okay. It was a quiet day, but they slowly but surely marched higher. We had that June contract up $1.27 to 139.90, right? So that was good yesterday. We'll see what we can do today. We also saw feeders a little bit better here by a couple bucks. May was up $2.37 to 164.85, and we did go up, say, almost $3 in that August right behind it to 176.45. So not a bad day for both those cattle markets. Let's see what we did in lean hogs. If I remember correctly, it wasn't very good. And it wasn't. So we've got that June contract down $1.57 to 117.17. All right, we're going to go back to our market expert, Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, you got any feel for where we're going to open up these livestock price markets here this morning?
Well, it's been a real strong week, Scott, for the cattle market. In the cash and the futures, we've seen some big gains in both of those markets here. We may stall out a little bit ahead of this afternoon's cattle on feed and cold storage reports. We probably priced in a good amount of, some of the bullishness already. Placements expect to be way down compared to last year, and that's going to be very positive longer term for the third and fourth quarters, I feel, of cattle and feeder cattle for that matter. But, here today's marketplace, maybe just some positioning ahead of that report and some real choppy type trade early in the session.
I mean, there's no real right answer to this question, but I was just curious, anecdotally, have you seen or heard of consumers pushing back at the counter because of some of these prices might be already a little bit too high for them when it comes to the grocery store?
Yeah, and it's hurting, that lower to middle class, I think, the most at this point, and that's what it usually does when you have inflationary type pressures against them. It hurts, more in the pocketbook because for high priced meat, gas prices. It really slows down the economy. So yeah, we're starting to hear some of that talk already, and I think it's going to get more prevalent as we go into this year and things don't improve rather quickly.
Yeah, it might actually prove that some of these think tanks that we look at sometimes, talking about inflation at, say, 20% for, year over year for pork and beef, they might be a little low. We'll have to wait and see. But I really appreciate you coming on, Brian. That's Brian Hoops. Have a great weekend. He's with Midwest Market Solutions. We're going to bring it back here to Nashville so I can throw this over to Suzanne.